back. Not really the best of mornings after what happened last night in that second half against Sevilla, but I'm back after a week away. I enjoyed it. I should have stayed in Marrakesh, as I said in my match reaction last night, because we won 2 games out of 2 when I was out there. We come back, and that happens in the second half against Sevilla. We'll speak about it this morning. I've missed the community. Genuinely, I missed the community. I've missed these live shows. I'm looking forward to getting started on all of this again after a good week away. A nice break. Yeah, but it didn't exactly come back to the best of games, did I? That second half against Sevilla. We're going to run through all the talking points. We're going to talk about Lisandro Martinez and that injury. We're going to talk through the substitutes that Ten Hag made. We're going to talk through the mistakes that we saw in that second half. We're going to talk about Manchester United's lack of killer instinct. Let's be honest. It's not the first time that that's been the case this season. And I'm almost surprised that it hasn't hurt us more. But we'll speak through that. We'll speak about Anthony's performance, Casemiro, Martin. There's so much to discuss from that game last night. And as I said, it's great to be back. Who's down here in the morning? Who's down here from the community in the comments? Have a look. Fred, good morning to you. Saying I should get a spray tan. No, you can keep your poor sarcasm to yourself. That's what I would say. Ines Fushi, how you doing, buddy? Charlie, you're there. John, Carl, we've got Owen, we've got JVD, Bully, we've got Josh, we've got Ant, we've got Sashi. How you doing, buddy? Who's on Facebook? We've got James Williams, we've got Nikolai. Good morning to you watching from Bulgaria. Ronan Duffy, how you doing, buddy? Good morning to all of you. Now, I wish that if you saw my match reaction last night, mate, I know that throwing away a 2-0 lead against Sevilla, it was bad. That injury to Lisandro Martinez was worse than that result for me. The way it looked was bad. You saw the replays. Martinez there in acres of space, no one around him, and just immediately he felt something pop. That was our fear. Our fear was that was an Achilles injury. Now, in a slightly positive update, Erik Ten Hag has said it's not his Achilles. And now the reason that's a positive update is because Achilles ruptures, it's such a bad injury that it can end. It can change a player's career completely. It's a sort of recovery that's around 7 to 8 to 9 months. Sometimes the player is never quite the same as it was before. So there's conversations now that it might be a metatarsal injury, which would be a slightly less crap injury, but still a bad injury nonetheless. Martinez left Old Trafford on crutches last night. And, man, genuinely devastated by that. And it's not just the fact that he's probably my favourite player this season. It's the fact that he is so instrumental to where Ten Hag wants this team to be. Now, Luke Shaw, if he's fit, because currently he's out injured as well, remember. If he's fit, it's probably going to be Luke Shaw that comes in and deputises for him at left centre-back, because Ten Hag prefers having his left-footed players playing at left centre-back. If he's not fit, we're probably going to have to see the return of Lindelof and Maguire for Man United in the Premier League. Charlie, you can say in the comments there, you've seen his face, Sam. He knew it was bad. He definitely knew it was bad. It was head in hand sort of injury. So all we can hope at this point is that it isn't as bad as it could be, because it's going to be a bad injury. I'd almost be surprised if it's... Look, if Martinez is out for what, 6 weeks? That's the end of the season, basically. That's pretty much season over. He's definitely not playing this weekend. And Rafa Varane might not play this weekend. I'll speak about that injury. I'm going to go down here and see what you're saying it. And you're saying, let's call it as it is. Martinez has become the beating heart and desire of this thing. Martinez is just... He's the face of what this United... for me, anyway. He's the face of what this United team could be if we make all the right signings over the next couple of years. He's the perfect example of getting it right. Of the mentality, the attitude, and also the quality. And he's just... He is a seriously good centre-back. On the ball, off the ball, the aggression, the quality, those balls that he plays through. Man, we can't... I don't think we can cope without him. Not at this stage, because we've seen full we've seen fully, right? When Casemiro and Eriksen go out the team, how much that midfield changes. I think the absence of Martinez causes that same thing to happen with our defense. I don't think we cope properly without Martinez. Now, we coped to a certain degree when Luke Shaw played there. Malacia, probably his worst game in the United shirt last night. An absolutely abysmal mistake he made. I'll speak about that a little bit later in the show. But fingers crossed that injury to Martinez it is not as bad as we could have, as we first feared when we saw him getting carried off the pitch. By the way, there's absolutely no chance that those, who's it, Acuna and I can't remember the name of the other one, Martinez's two Argentinian teammates, there is a sweet FA chance that they carry him off the pitch if Sevilla are 1-0 up. He looked like he could have had a career-threatening injury there if it was going to be an Achilles rupture. And they're shooing him off the pitch like that, like they're trying to do him a favour. My initial reaction was, oh, look, that's a good gesture. But now that I've had time to think about it, I'm like, how are they allowed to do that? Like, don't touch him. Do not touch him. That was a bit of a weird one. It was a bit of a weird one. But this is something I said after the game, right? Which I absolutely stand by. This was it. Like last 3 weeks now, we've had the injury to Shaw, the injury to Rashford, and now that injury to Martinez. And I'm almost surprised that it hasn't happened sooner. That injury there was, would you call it a freak injury to Martinez? Would you call it, I mean, if it's a metatarsal, but it's a bone in the toe, isn't it? Is that the same one that David Beckham did? I think it was. Did Rooney do that as well? Is that the one Rooney did? I think it was. Anyway, it's not as bad as an Achilles injury. But this pile up of game, like, what happens when you put a World Cup halfway through a season? What could possibly go wrong? The demands on the players this season have been wild. And it's almost like the ultimate irony that Man United finally click and finally we're doing well in the top four race. We're into the FA Cup semi-final. We're into the Europa League quarter-final. And the tie is still ours, by the way. Sevilla are in a relegation battle. We're going to have fear of what happened last time at Sevilla, but we are still favourites to go through. We are still a better team than Sevilla. And that should be seen in the second leg, but we're going to have to do it without Bruno Fernandes, without Lisandro Martinez, maybe without Rafa Varane, maybe without Luke Shaw, maybe without Marcus Rashford. I'll speak about that in a little bit. United are hopeful he's going to be fit. But yeah, it's these sorts of... I expected United to hit an injury crisis this season. It's just a goddamn shame it's happening in mid-April. We are at the crunch point of this season. And yeah, fingers crossed that it isn't as bad as it could have been. Erik ten Hag confirming that he doesn't feel it's an Achilles, but I suppose even at that point, Erik ten Hag was slightly guessing. He probably asked Martinez, where was it? Where did you feel the pain? And he didn't point to his Achilles, so he will know his body. But we're going to have to wait for the diagnosis on this. I doubt Erik ten Hag by 12:30. I think he's got a press conference at 12:30 today. I doubt very much that he's going to have an update on him because he'll have to go away for an MRI scan, XYZ. I imagine we'll probably get an update maybe after the Nottingham Forest game. Robert, you're saying Forest away just got a lot harder. It was always going to be a tough game, Forest away. But yeah, we're going to have to do that without probably both of them. Probably Varane and Martinez. I'm going to go down here and see what else you're saying. I think I've just seen down there. Yeah, man. Wow. Jay, how you doing, dude? I've missed this community. I've just missed this community. I really, really have. Jay, you've gifted 12 memberships. The Gong is going to go into retirement when I update the software. But the gentle Gong, we'll call it that. The Gong is going to go into retirement on the shelf when I probably update the software. And that is coming probably sooner rather than later. Daniel, you're talking about the positive of Sabitzer last night. I will speak about Sabitzer a little bit later in the show. But there's a lot of talking points that I want to speak through. And I'll be honest, this kind of concerned me a little bit. I have to admit. Erik ten Hag admitting that the injury to Rafael Varane, him pulling up and sort of holding his ankle, it didn't really surprise him because he's been complaining about it for a couple of weeks. That's a little bit concerning for me. I'll be totally honest. If Varane's been complaining about that for a couple of weeks, so obviously this is Varane's game time is being really carefully. Well, I thought it was. It's being really carefully managed by Erik ten Hag. But it sounds like maybe Rafa's been playing through a little bit of a niggle and a little bit of an injury himself. But you know what it is, right? We've seen it so often this season, and it is the absolute truth. We really are a different team. I mean, quite literally, but a different team in how we play and how confident we are, the mentality when we take our starting 11 out. Ten Hag knows as soon as he gets rid of Casemiro and Eriksen, that midfield, it's just woeful by comparison. In terms of quality, in terms of ball retention, control, composure, just falls off a cliff. And I imagine the same thing's going to be happening now in defense because if Varane, I'd be very surprised. I'd be very surprised if Varane starts against Nottingham Forest. And you're down there saying, and this is absolutely spot on. It's completely true. The reason why he is starting Varane, who clearly has been playing not at 100%, is because he doesn't trust Lindelof and Maguire, and he has every reason not to. Those two together, I'm not looking forward to watching that. I'm really not looking forward to watching that. Individually, in the right team, in the right shape, I think they're okay centre-backs for United. But together, Lindelof and Maguire, United are going to have to play with a much deeper line against Forest. It's not going to be an enjoyable game. Luke Shaw might not even be in there. We might have a back four of Malacia, Maguire, Lindelof, and Wan-Bissaka. Imagine that. Now, in terms of a slight positive update, is that Manchester United are hopeful that Rashford's going to be fit for Sevilla. And we need him. Hey, look, we showed in the first half that we can cope without him in terms of goal scoring. Some of the football. And I think that's probably why so many of you are really angry this morning. Because of what you saw in that first half against Sevilla. Honestly, I'm putting that down as one of the best halves of football that we've played this season. Scored in the first 30 seconds. It was offside if Anthony had only just rolled that through to Sancho a little bit earlier. But two great goals. Martial, instrumental. I'll speak about Martial. We'll speak about Sabitzer. There are some positives to take from that game yesterday, but I think it will be foolish to just overlook them completely. And as I said, if we're talking about the main one, it's probably those goals from Sabitzer, the performance from him. I do genuinely think that we should be signing Sabitzer in the summer. Do I think he'll be starting every week for Manchester United? No. But I think we should be signing him as a squad player. A capable squad player. Somebody who can come in and add that sort of energy. And our midfield should be better next year than Sabitzer starting. However, he's proven, well, so far anyway. Of course, players playing for contracts, you remember it. I think Adebayor was the king of it. Of when he's playing for a contract, he looks like the world's best player. As soon as he gets a contract, he's like, never mind. I was lying. I don't know whether Sabitzer would do the same thing, but I thought he played pretty well. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. Robert, you're saying that tie should have been finished by half time, and it's happening too often for my liking. This match might actually be a whole season's undoing. Man, people saying some crazy stuff, man. Wow. Making my voice go mad. Oh, by the way, I'm not coughing. I think it might be gone. That lasted like 3 weeks. Must be some post-COVID thing. I don't know. That was long. There's the hyperboles you get after United, after a disappointing United performance. Are they as extreme as other clubs? I have no idea. Genuinely, I have no idea. I'm curious because they're mad after United games. They really, really are. Ray, you're saying that first half fooled us. It's not that it fooled us, Ray. It's just that we played so damn well. We played so well, and we're looking at that at halftime, right? Realistically, we should have been 3, 4-0 up, and it's happened so often this season. There's one Leicester, Southampton. We won both of those 1-0. Games where we didn't kill the game off, and we feared that it was going to affect us, but we held out because our defence held out. Brentford, you could argue the same, but we held out. Last night, instead of holding out, we had both of our centre-backs injured, one potentially for the rest of the season, and ended up playing the last 10 minutes with 10 men because we'd used all our subs. It was a bit of a clusterfuck. That's what I would call it last night. 2 own goals, 2 centre-backs being injured. That mistake from Malacia, oh man, I'm speaking about that in a little bit. But this is what Paul Scholes said after the game, right? And I want to speak to you about this comment, right? He said, Sir Alex Ferguson wouldn't have allowed us to be complacent in the second half of the quarterfinal. This is the time to win. You win it here tonight. That should be 3-4, 5-0. And it should have been. He's absolutely spot on in saying it should have been. The game should have been dead and buried. And that is something that won't be sorted until we sign a world-class number 9. Simple as that. Too often this season, we've had the same repeated conversation. It's because you can't solve that with the current players we've got. I think they've proven that. However, there has been, in my opinion, some pretty crazy stuff said after last night. Ferocious down the scene. Erik Ten Hag bottled it. So many people are pointing the finger at Ten Hag, slamming him for the substitutes that he made. What an abysmal bit of game management. All the blame lies at the feet of Ten Hag. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit. Right? The main focus of the frustration for like United fans is the subs that he made. So was it around about the 60th minute mark? It was Martial went off for Weghorst. Fernandez went off for Eriksen. And Sancho went off for Elanga. Triple substitution, right? Martial going off for Weghorst was clearly pre-planned. I've said it there. This is what I said last night after the game. Are you mad? If Martial had stayed on an extra 15, 20 minutes and he pulled up with a hamstring injury, those exact same fans would be like, it's terrible game management from Ten Hag. Why did he not take Martial off? At that point in time, United, it was well in United's grasp, that game. Totally in United's hands. Bruno Fernandes coming off for Eriksen. He's confirmed after the game that he did that because he was told look, they've been warned. That second yellow's coming. People are like, Sam, look, Bruno's already suspended for the second leg. What are you taking him off for? I would say there was definitely a dip in the energy level when you go from Bruno to Eriksen. But this is Christian Eriksen we're talking about. Christian Eriksen, who, for a lot of us, has been... You could argue he's been one of the best midfielders. You couldn't argue. He has been one of the best players that we've had this season. Eriksen is a top-class central midfielder who could have and should have been able to see out that last 25 minutes of that game. Now, I've gone down there and saying, look, Elanga for Sancho you can question. Because I think Pellistri probably would have been a more positive attacking substitution there. But I'm confused. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to read some of your comments here. But I'm genuinely a bit confused and a bit staggered that people... I think the comment that is question... The comment is question? The thing you can question is doing all three at the same time. I think that's a fair sort of criticism. Do we really need to get Martial off and Erik and Bruno off and Sancho off all at the same time? Maybe you could have split those out. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to read more. Read some of your comments down here. Weghorst was the main issue, says, and I'd rather have seen Fred. I think there are people that have said that maybe bring in Sancho off for Eriksen, and then kind of packing the midfield and giving United a bit more options on the ball. That would have been a better way to do it. Sure, yeah. That's fair. I think that's a kind of fair. David, you're saying it's not about Eriksen, it's about Bruno's influence. Come on, Sam, your head is still in Marrakesh. I go back to what Ten Hag said after the game. Bruno was already, by the way, Bruno was on a yellow for this. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Are you crazy? How? Man, so often this season, it's not just United, all right? This is no agenda against United. This is just an absolute stinker of a decision by the referee. Bruno Fernandes flying in to block a challenge, elbow at the side of his body, and gets a yellow card for it and gets suspended for it. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Absolutely mind blown that was a yellow card. But that was why Erik Ten Hag took Fernandes off. It wasn't about the dipping influence of Bruno. It's the fact that he had Eriksen on the bench, and Eriksen for Bruno is a fine substitution. I'm going to go ahead and see what you're saying. There's a couple of super chats here. Let me read these out. Thank you very much, as always, everyone who supports the community. Jay, how you saying? You're saying subs made sense. People would be fuming if Bruno picked up another soft yellow or Martial pulled up injured. That's what I feel. On paper, Bruno off for Eriksen. I'm fine with that. You can say that the dip in energy between Bruno's game and Eriksen was always going to create an opportunity for Sevilla to come forward a bit more, and that I kind of do agree with. But we should have been able to see that game out with the players that we brought on. We really, really should have. Let me see what you're saying down here. That handball was like the penalty versus Sociedad at home. Yeah, both of them were absolutely crazy. Mark, you're saying, I don't understand, Sam. One game of people are getting on Ten Hag. Look what... After any sort of poor performance, everybody turns into the world's best manager. Every fan. This is what you did wrong. This is what you did wrong. I would never have made these mistakes. This is what you did wrong. This is what you did wrong. Look, constructive criticism. I'm all for it. I don't bury my head in the sand and pretend that there weren't mistakes. There were lots of mistakes yesterday. My personal take is that I don't think the subs were what killed that game. And I think to try and not throw Ten Hag under the bus, but just try and point the finger at him. And mate, this guy has positively affected the majority of United's games in the second half this season. He knows what he's doing. But the physical demands of this season, they're starting to catch up with us. They really are. We've got Forest away coming up next. We've got Sevilla away, and then we've got Brighton in the FA Cup semi. And then we've got Spurs away. Oi, next 4 games are big. Red Devils down under. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for super chat. You're saying hindsight is lucrative here. But Ten Hag was probably looking forward. Adding the context of the game, I understood it, but now it looks horrible, and it's not the end of the world. Bring on the second leg. Mate, the second leg, I'm still backing United to go through. I know that there's going to be so many United fans that are going to be like, oh, I remember Sevilla, right? I was there in Sevilla. Seville. That 0-0 under Mourinho and getting knocked out of the Champions League, and what Sevilla did under Solskjaer as well. We've got a bad record. Yeah, we do. But I still back United to go through, even with these injuries. But that was a mad second half of a game to go from the how fluid and how wonderful and how in control United were in that first half. To not see that through is absolutely, I wouldn't say it's unforgivable. Unforgivable is a bit of an extreme way to describe that. But it's poor from United. It's poor from everyone. You can't let that happen at the top level. And too often this season, that has happened. So many times that's happened. But this is what Erik Ten Hag said after the game here. He said, look, we conceded 2 own goals. Bad luck. We have to deal with it. But we've got to learn to kill the game. You know full well that we need to learn to kill the game. I've spoken about it so many times, and so have you. And it's frustrating that it keeps creeping in. But this is the team that is in stage 1. Is it going to be perfect in the first year? No, sirree. Couple of comments down here. Michael, I'm just going to pull this up on Facebook. Ten Hag is very arrogant, and I really hate anyone with such attributes because they often have a low conscience level. That's your interpretation of Erik Ten Hag, my friend. Yeah, I'm going to leave that to yourself there. Boy, man, I should have stayed in Marrakesh. We would have won that game if I stayed in Marrakesh. It had to be Maguire, didn't it? I'm not pointing the finger at Maguire for that, right? But it had to be Maguire, didn't it? You knew nothing about it. Just standing there, buff, straight off his head. I was like, oh. But for me, if we're talking about mistakes yesterday, this for me was the biggest mistake of the game. Was Malacia. What was he doing, letting that ball go over? That is a basic for a fullback. If you don't 100% know what's behind you, because you haven't scanned, you haven't looked, and you haven't seen, just get that ball out. Just get rid of that ball. Do not let that ball bounce. Do not put yourself in a scenario where you could be vulnerable. And if I'm talking about mistakes that happened in that game last night, that was the biggest mistake. And Malacia, again, I'm seeing it. People writing him off now. He's not good enough for United, blah, 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 blah. Despite the fact that he, in my opinion, has been a very good understudy to Luke Shaw all season long. But last night was a tragic performance from him. Pretty much the whole game. Sevilla clearly targeted that left-hand side, and they were having fun. They skipped past him a few times. Pretty much the majority of their chances, anytime they went to attack us, they went down that side of the pitch. But Paul, you're saying he did actually. I just can't believe he let it bounce. How did he not just sweep that out for a corner? It was such an odd decision. And for me, that was the biggest mistake that happened last night. Nothing to do with subs, nothing to do with own goals, nothing to do with anything. It was that decision there that allowed Sevilla back into the game. And then when Martinez pulled up with that injury and we went down to 10 men, you kind of knew what was coming. Oh, I'm looking forward to... I'm looking forward to this season being over. Because I'm not. I'm looking forward to what we've got coming up next. I'm still hoping that we're going to have a European Cup final. I'm still hoping that we're going to have an FA Cup final. And all these things can still happen. That Brighton game is going to be hella hard. It will be. And especially without Martinez. Geez, you think we're bad playing out from the back with him in the team? This is going to be an interesting game to watch against Brighton without him in the team. I'll tell you that. Nick, you're saying, let's be honest here. Bad luck was also a thing yesterday. That second goal, just wow. Let's pull up a photo of that second goal. Is it that one? That's Bruno's yellow. That one there. It was just that bad of a header, mate. I don't know where it was going. But it was going absolutely nowhere near. Absolutely nowhere near. Nicky, you're talking about Malacia. You're saying Malacia's had some dodgy moments this season. Always comes back well. We're going to need him if Shaw plays centre-back. We are. And if we are talking about somebody who can hopefully, right, replace Martinez, Shaw is our only option. Playing Lindelof there, it's not going to work. We play Lindelof there, we're going to have to turn into a direct team for the rest of this season. We're going to have to. There is no chance that with Lindelof and Maguire there that we play out from the back with the ball. Even if Casemiro... So we're not allowed good things, are we? We've been waiting so long to get Eriksen back from injury. He's back. Casemiro has returned after being suspended for a bloody month. Then Rashford gets injured. Then Shaw gets injured. Now Martinez is likely out for the rest of the season. It's been tough. We've had to... Look, every team has, as I said, and I will repeat this, I don't feel like United every team has their injury problems. It's just the thing that pisses me off this year is I think a lot of this is caused by the Winter World Cup. And we've had 2 Premier League seasons effectively with a big old month break halfway through it and a World Cup. I'm surprised these sorts of conversations haven't been happening earlier. That's what I said. Oh, wow. Look at that, man. JVD, you're gifting 10 memberships and Gungshi. Or should I say Gongshi? You're gifting 5. Welcome back, man. Welcome back to genuinely, it is the best community in the world. Legends of the game. Love you both, man. But yeah, as I said, if I'm gonna focus on the biggest mistake that happened yesterday, it was that mistake from Malacia. But if I'm gonna focus on probably the biggest positive, let's quickly talk about Martial, right? He was good yesterday. He was really good. I've gone on record, I've gone on camera, and I've done a whole video on it about how I've checked out from Martial FC. I just don't feel that we can rely on him enough. But then when he's fit, and then when he's there and United are playing better, you let yourself get sucked back in. He's such a good footballer, man. He is a good footballer. We are a better footballing team with him in. It's such a shame that his fitness record is so poor. Erik Ten Hag, I've gone on record, and I feel pretty. Oh, well, we'll find out. I feel pretty confident about it. I don't think Martial will play 90 minutes for United for the rest of the season. I think he's going to be really, really delicately managed. 60 minutes yesterday. Now, you can argue whether Weghorst was the right person to bring on for him, but he is a striker for a striker, so it was kind of the obvious choice to make. And Weghorst, whether you like to admit it or not, this season wouldn't have been shaped the way it is if we hadn't signed Weghorst in January. It was a good signing. Do I think he's got a long-term future at Manchester United? No, I don't. I'll be honest, I'm also questioning whether he should even get a one-year deal now. Maybe Martial should be getting that sort of deal. I'm going to go down there and see what you're saying about Martial. Stephen is saying, typical Martial. He does that and disappears for 5 games, gets injured and repeats. I agree. That's what he does. He lures you back in. You're like, oh, this is what we're missing. Because if he was fit, hypothetical situation, we know it. Because it is hypothetical. But if he stayed fit for a full season, you are looking at a 25, 30 goal a season man. 2019-20, when both him and Rashford dovetailed against each other, was amazing. However, realistically, that's never going to happen again. So Ten Hag has got to manage him properly. 30 minutes here, 45 minutes there, 60 minutes there. Don't think we'll be seeing him for a full 90. But I'd rather start him and get fast starts. But United can't see games out. Gungshi is saying Martial's pass through for that second goal was a thing of beauty. Really smart vision, man. Wasn't the easiest pass to make. Wasn't the obvious pass to make. I was like, oh, wonderful weight to it. And Sabitzer. Let's speak about Sabitzer as well. As I said, the two standout positives from that first half. The 2 goals of Sabitzer and the performance of Anthony Martial. Sabitzer kind of looked a bit like a striker. It was the furthest man forward, playing with that press, allowing Martial to drop a little bit deeper and kind of dictate a bit more. And his link-up play was brilliant. It's just good. Please stay fit, Martial. Please stay fit. We need him. We really, really do. There's a couple of super chats there. Let me not miss these. Vincent, how you doing, buddy? Saying fans react emotionally in the now. Ten Hag plans for months ahead with risks as data and risk assessments. I see the same pattern as with us as Ajax. Sorry. He's doing the same things now that he did at Ajax, what you're saying there. You need some patience. I mean, I absolutely trust Ten Hag. Is it frustrating seeing United throwing, it wasn't points away, but throwing a tie? Not, we haven't thrown the tie away because we've got a second leg, but I hate how overreactionary people have to be. It's kind of a natural position. I'm not accusing people. It's the wrong way to describe it, but you can have blips without it needing to rip everything up and start again. And he's crap and he can't play for United. It doesn't have to be as extreme as that. We were unlucky in that second half yesterday. That we really, really were. Ray, you're saying spot on with the World Cup. It's done us in. It's done a lot of teams in. As I said, this isn't something that I feel is affected United and no one else. It's affected everybody. And it's done. Metal Mania, besides the goals, Sabitzer had an average game. Okay. Besides the 2 goals that people say some funny stuff sometimes. ignoring the fact that this player has scored 2 goals, he was crap. That's funny, man. That is funny. I like that. Garth, you're saying first season and beyond expectations, trust the process. So, Garth, I'm not saying that we can't have frustrations of what we saw last night. Yeah, there are. There are criticisms that should be made. And I'm not blindly saying trust the process and ignore what's in front of you. But yeah, I think people are going a bit too mad. A bit too mad. Nicky, by that same logic, yeah, Haaland only had 4 touches this game. He scored a hat-trick, but he's a really average game he's had. Gear, you're saying Sabitzer higher up is great tactics from Ten Hag. It certainly worked. And there was lots to like about that first half. There's a comment there from Paul, which I want to speak about. I want to speak about Antony. Because in the last 3 games, Brentford, Everton, and now Sevilla, I've enjoyed watching Antony. Am I frustrated with the lack of the final product? Yes. Will I always have that? Yes. Will that ever change? No. Did it ever change with Nani? No. Will it ever change with Antony? No. Does that make him a bad player? No. Antony, I think, is showing a little bit of development in these last 3 games. Taking his man on. Really, he was it Acuna? He had Acuna on toast yesterday, winding him up. He is a proper wind-up merchant. He gets into the heads of players. A nice little scrapper. Tracking back when he needed to. That was a criticism of his game. Tracking back when he needed to. Can't go on the outside. Did that a couple of times. Developing. Will it happen? Will it happen straight away? Oof. No, it won't. Does he still need to improve? Absolutely, he does. He's a young player. What is he? 22? I think he's 22. That was so unlucky for him not to score with that goal. You know what he's going to do. He's going to cut inside his left foot, and he's going to try and bend one in. And he's got 4 out of 8 Goal of the Month awards at United. If somebody wants to, somebody should make a little compilation of just his goals. And if anybody had done that in their first season, you'd be like, oh, great. Nice. And by comparison, if you look at the performance of Antony yesterday to Sancho, who scored within 30 seconds with just offside. And I thought Sancho in his last couple of games, he's starting to sort of shift up a little bit. And then he shifted down a couple of gears yesterday. And I said, look, you could question Erik Ten Hag taking off Sancho for Elanga. I don't really think you can question Sancho being taken off. I think you can question whether Elanga was the right player to bring on instead of him. But, man, I'm enjoying watching Antony. We are a far more dangerous team with him in. Yes, there are definite improvements, significant improvements that he needs to make in his game. But it's the development. I can see and I can appreciate small improvements. I'm not expecting overnight from Antony to go from a player who can't kick a ball with his right foot to all of a sudden skipping on the outside and firing in a lovely right-footed cross. It's not going to happen. It's an unrealistic expectation. However, seeing small developments, small improvements, good. You can see what he wants to improve. You can see that he knows that he needs to improve these areas. Because Paul Scholes said it in his commentary. You need to have that unpredictability of going on the outside to be a successful Premier League winger. It's just not possible, I don't think anyway, in the modern game, to be Iron Robin, to just cut inside, because you're going to have those central midfielders who always double up on you. You have to have the threat of going on the outside. You really do. But Antony in his last few games, I've enjoyed watching him. Even if he is frustrating at times, he's the sort of winger that can make a massive difference in games. Completely different player to Sancho. And yeah, Sancho definitely deserved to get taken off last night. Let me see what you're saying down here. David, you're talking about his predictability. Yeah, that's something that he's going to develop into his game. Clearly, in the Eredivisie, he was able to get away with it. And he was very good at it. But that's what made him one of the best wingers in the Eredivisie. He's learning across the course of this season. Yeah, that's not going to cut it in the Premier League, dude. You've got to be able to cut on the outside. And he did that. The last couple of games, there have been more than one occasion where he has gone on the outside of a player. He's even fired in a right-footed cross at one point. I'm enjoying his development over these last couple of games. Let me see what you're saying. Nicky, you think that he's going to get the number 7 shirt? Dude, I'll be honest, man. I think I've said this before. I don't care about the number 7 shirt anymore at Manchester United. Not that I don't care about it at all, because that's a lie, right? That's got Cantona 7 on the back of that bad boy. I definitely care about the shirt, but it doesn't for me now, because of all the players that we've had Owen, we've had Memphis, we've had Di Maria. Well, come on, man. We've had so many players that haven't done that number 7 shirt justice that I need someone to come back and take it and bring it back up there for it to have that allure anymore. I don't have that right now, so I don't really care what number he wears. I don't particularly think he cares either. Pavel, how you doing, man? You're saying, you're saying Anthony will never be better than an average footballer. Doesn't have the ability nor the brain. And I'm rarely wrong when it comes to football. Pavel is rarely wrong. You've heard it here directly from Pavel. Well, I'll disagree with you on that one. Doesn't have the ability nor the brain. But I think Erik ten Hag disagrees with you, Pavel. So much so that he signed him twice. I think I'm going to trust Erik ten Hag on this one, Pavel. No offense to you, but I think I'm going to trust Erik ten Hag. Hey, look, let's find out at the end of next season, right? Of course, no one ever really fairly judges a player off one season, do they? We can all have our feelings, and Pavel, you've completely written them off there. We've all got our feelings about players, but no one fairly judges a player on their first season of the Premier League. Let's find out where he is at the end of next season. Because after this summer, oh geez, the takeover. I did a video when I was out in Marrakesh on the update on the 3rd round of bids. Maybe I can speak to Ben Jacobs today. Maybe we can get a sort of a full conversation around what's going on, dude. Like, what is going on? But we need that to be done early because this summer's so crucial. Finally, we're in a good position with the right manager, but we need significant improvements in this squad. The drop-off between that first 11 and the second 11 is so painful. So painful. We ended that game last night, right? After that first half and the brilliance, and we had Anthony Martial on and scoring goals. We ended that game yesterday, I believe, with a front 3 of Weghorst, Elanga, and Pellistri, right? Huh? Like when you say it like that, you're like, what is going on there? We started the game with Martial, Anthony, and Sancho. And we ended the game with Weghorst, Elanga, and Pellistri. That drop-off's too big. That drop-off isn't United quality. We need that better second 11. The Casemiro and Eriksen drop-off to McTominay and Sabitzer. Well, we saw what it did against Newcastle away. They're decent squad players, but it's bad. The drop-off is bad. And for United to do it again last night, it was very frustrating. I wanted to come on here and celebrate the return of Casemiro, celebrate Martial's performance, and there were so many positives from that first half, but woof. Did we collapse in that second half? As Erik ten Hag said, we were unlucky. I do think we were unlucky. 2 injuries to centre-backs off the ball, 2 own goals. But we had mistakes. Malacia with that, in particular, with that mistake. You can argue that Ten Hag made the wrong subs. I personally think you're looking in the wrong direction there. Personally. Again, this is all about opinions. That's why we do these live shows every day. That's why I like interacting and engaging with the community. I like to think I'm not massively disrespectful to your comments. I might disagree with them, like Pavel's comment there. But we can have a conversation about it. But it does... Type it in the comments, actually. Type yes or no. Do you think that United will go through to the Europa League semi-final? Just type yes or no. Not asking for anything massively overreactionary. But after that 2-2 last night, we've got Sevilla away next Thursday. I still have us down as favourites. Of course I do. Away from home, though, we are a bit of a different breed compared to what we are at home. And, okay, let's have a look. Get out here in the comments. Let me pull some of these up. Steve, you don't think so? Debbie, you don't think so? Yes. We've got plenty of no's down there. We've got a few yeses. I should have done a poll, really. Never mind. No, yes, no, yes, no. More split than I suppose it's not really as more split than I thought it was going to be. But it's massively split. If you do not think that United are better than Sevilla, come on. However, it's the fact that it is away from home. That's going to be the concern that a lot of you have. Can we cope without Bruno? We're going to be a different team without Bruno. So his energy is relentless. You're going to have to probably play Sabitzer in that deeper role. You can have the same sort of energy level, but you won't have the same sort of progression from deep. So you might have to see United maybe giving up one of the winger positions. I don't know, maybe stacking the midfield a bit more. It's going to be an interesting one. Now, my personal opinion, I think we're going to go through. Hell yeah, I'm backing Man United to be beating Sevilla, who are in a relegation battle in La Liga. Yeah, I do. However, it's going to be tough. And we've got Nottingham Forest away on Sunday now. We're going to have to do that without Martinez. We're going to have to do that probably without Varane as well. And then we've got Sevilla away. And then we've got an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley against Brighton on the Sunday. Hoi. It's our midfield depth that was tested in the absence of Eriksen and Casemiro. And we navigated that quite well. Newcastle result aside. Now, we're going to have that same test on our defence. Well, Martinez is probably not going to play again this season. Varane, I don't think Ten Hag will risk him. So we're probably looking at Maguire and Lindelof. Sure, we don't know whether he's going to be back or not. Malacia had an absolute stinker against Sevilla there. I fear for our defence. I fear for our goals that we're going to be conceding. I fear for our ability to play out from the back with the ball. I mean, it's bad enough even with Martinez and Varane in the team, let alone when they're not in the team. I've definitely got concerns. Of course I do. But am I backing United to beat Sevilla? Yes, I am. Even if our away form is abysmal compared to our home form, of course I'm still backing us. Fair enough, though. Quite a few of you, you're not. All right. Let me read a few of your comments down here. Lee, you're saying, is Luke Shaw going to be fit? If so, plays a left-sided centre-back alongside Lindelof. I think Ten Hag has shown this season if there's going to be a centre-back that steps in there, it's going to be Maguire for Varane, not Lindelof. But let's hope that Luke Shaw is that left-footed centre-back. Because it makes a big difference to how we play out from the back with the ball. It really, really does. Without Shaw in there. Matt Richard, you're saying, we'll go through, but now I'm worried about top four. That's why those 2 wins were so important. Our next game in the Premier League, of course, is Nottingham Forest on Sunday. That will not be easy. Nottingham Forest, when you're playing a team who are in a relegation scrap, it's never easy. And away from home, and given how bad our away form has been, it's not good. It's not good. Let me see what else you're saying down here. I can see quite a few are saying it's map day. I know it's map day, but I'm going to... I'll bring the map up. Right. 3 of you getting onto the map. I was going to leave it out for today, but I'll bring it up now. 3 of you, let me know where you're watching from all around the world for the community. What the latest ones we've got on here? We've got Kampala in Uganda. We've got Mount Barker in Australia. Arlington in Texas. Morsellemont in Mauritius. Stordelford in Norway. That's cool, isn't it? Mark Davies, you're saying Forest Pants will batter them. I mean, I wish I had as much confidence about that. I've probably got more confidence of going through to the Europa League semi-final than I have of beating Forest on Sunday. Personal opinion. This Forest game will not be an enjoyable one. And we've had some bad-ass away games this season. We really, really have. Let's have a look down there. We've got... We've got Mohammed watching from Lahore in Pakistan. I'm not sure we've had Lahore on the map, actually, yeah? On you go, sir. Let me see if I can bring this up a little bit bigger on the screen. That's better. There you go. Don't need my face in this one. My ugly mug. And you're saying if anyone's from Seville, they're getting banned. Yeah, 2 right. We got Onion or ooh, ooh. I'm gonna call you Petrov. Sorry, but you're watching from Bulgaria. You're watching from Sofia. On you go. Never been there. I learned. Like Marrakesh was wicked. What a great place. I was there in Ramadan. I've got a friend who's going next week, and it's going to be in Eid. That's going to be crazy. We've got. What happened to being positive, Sam? Sometimes I'm positive. Sometimes I'm positive. Where we go? One more down here. We've got Faiz watching from Kuantan in Malaysia. Oh, Destin in Florida. Well, I'm gonna add 2 on now because too many comments flying in, so it's making different comments come up. Destin, Florida. Who was that? Oh, I can't remember your name. Sorry. On you go. Glazes out. I'm clicking wrong comments all over the shop. It's almost like I haven't done this for a while. Faiz watching from Kuantan in Malaysia. Let's get you on the map. Kuantan in Malaysia. Awesome. That's 4 added onto the map there today. Wicked. But look, let's wrap this show up. Last couple of minutes. You know what to do. Fire in your questions. Anything you want to ask me, you can at the end of every show. That injury there for me was worse than the result last night. Not just because Martinez has been my favorite player this season, but I mean in terms of the importance of him to this team, to this mentality. So often this season, there's been games where I'd say his defensive performances have been crucial to us winning or getting the right result. Without him, there's going to be a big dip towards what we looked like last season, I think. There's going to be a step off because no one's got that same quality and ability as he does. It's going to be a bad one. These last 4, 5, 6 weeks are going to be really tough to navigate with the squad that we've got, with the players and the injuries. It's going to pile up. If just get that top 4. Another piece of silverware would be great, but get that top 4. And you're saying realistically, do we need to start prioritizing? We cannot afford any more injuries. And it's a question that Ten Hag's going to have to really think about. For me, priority, it doesn't even come close. Top 4 is a priority. Nothing else matters compared to that. So if we can win our next 2 games, if we win our next 2 Premier League games, I'd be pretty confident of United getting top 4 because that would be beating Spurs away. Spurs and Forest away, if we can get somewhere. I don't think we're going to get 6 points from that. Boy, I really, really don't know. Steve, will we spend money this summer? Buyout seems all over the place. It's not... I mean, it was never going to be quick. Not with the Glazers. I think the fact that the Chelsea one went through so quickly made people think, oh, we can do it, we can do it. The Chelsea one was forced on the club by the government. They had deadlines. And their owners weren't the Glazers. Both of those things combined are definitely delaying it. I wish I came back from Marrakesh to a lovely win. And after, 70 minutes, I thought we were going to get there. Stop being mad with your reactions, people. Right? Let's go up here. There's been so much progress this season. Have we had setbacks? Yep. Newcastle, City, Liverpool, Brentford, Brighton. What happened? We recovered and improved, and we stepped forward. Is there going to be more setbacks? You're damn right there will be. Injuries are going to hurt United this season. They always were. It's not Captain Hindsight speaking. It was inevitable with the World Cup. However, there were mistakes in that game yesterday that can't be excused. Malacia, just really poor defensive choice. And that second string got to be better. Have to be. Next up is Forest on Sunday. I'll have my start 11 video going out tomorrow morning. I'll think about what I want to do for the lunchtime video today. I might do an interview with Ben Jacobs. It feels like it will be a good opportunity to reassess everything that's happened these last few weeks. But Martinez, man, please. I hope it's nothing worse than a metatarsal injury. That'll rule him out for the rest of the season, but it won't. This is an Achilles rupture, which, as I said, Erik ten Hag said it's not his Achilles, which is good news because that's a sort of injury that can change a player's career. They're never quite the same player that they were before. So fingers crossed it's not as bad as it looked, but it did look bad. And that second half, awful. The beauty of the benefit of playing every 3 days is when results happen like that, you can bury it quickly, but it will not be easy against Nottingham Forest on Sunday. I'll have my Start 11 video going out there today. I'll do a video a little bit later at lunchtime today. Thank you so much, everyone. Gungshi, to JVD, to Jay, gifted memberships. It's great to be back. I'm looking forward to it. A little bit of an update from my side. I'm working hard in the background on the new software. I can't wait to launch that. That's really going to take the engagement up to a new level here on the channel. Make sure if you haven't already entered, by the way, I only mentioned it now, actually, 56 minutes into the show. We're, of course, giving away the Xbox Series X bundle with Forza 5. Following on from the PS5 one last month, it's an Xbox. All you got to do is £1 a ticket. You can win it for a good. I can't remember. Was it Umit? I think it won a PS5 for a £5 because he bought 5 tickets last month. Could be you this month. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back on Monday for a full week of shows. It's great to be back. It's a shame we didn't do it with a win.